right, good morning. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you inside a grade 1 kind of a morning binder, a morning menu, any of those just to give you some ideas. It's how I get my kids to remember so much on so many different topics. And I'm going to show you a grade 2 one. We're going to start with the grade 2. Now this is something that we review. We do it, I want to say once a week. And so look what I started here. So this is going to be the 100 days challenge. I'm not sure what to do at the end of the 100 days challenge. I just updated this binder. So I'm not sure what to do at the end of the 100 days challenge. So, but if we open this book, not if we do school 100 days, but if we open this book and work on this book 100 days. So we do it as a family, do a lot of things family style. It can be done during lunch. So these are questions and answers about God that I have. Who made you? God did. So the orange is where, or yellow, the highlighted is where they answer. So let's see. Who made you? God did. What else did God make? God made all things. What is God? God is a spirit and does not have a body. When I worry about something, what should I do? Tell God and let him take care of it. Where is God? God is everywhere. What is the most important commandment? As Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Does God forgive me when I make a mistake? Yes, God has never forgiven God. Ask God for forgiveness. So this, to me, is important. It's based loosely on the catechism for the Catholic religion. So this is the Lord's Prayer that we have there that we are working on. This is the prayer before meals that we're going to work on. And this is right here, and I have another version of it in the grade 2 book, or in the grade 1 book. But basically, this is how can you solve your problem? You can apologize, ask an adult for help, talk it out, ignore it, ask them to stop, compromise and make a plan, walk away and take a breath and say how you feel. So these are just some things we are discussing. Oh my gosh, I didn't show you the product of the day. This is the product of the day. This is Iggy Peck's Big Project Book for Amazing Architects. So this is based on, I'm sure you know the story about Iggy Peck. It's an excellent book. If you haven't read it, excellent. Or Ada Twist Scientist, also an excellent book. This is not the story. The book is better, but this is a version of it in the beginning of the book. And then it has an architect's treasure, how to keep your architect's treasure organized, favorite structures of Iggy. So this book is about architecture. So architecture makes each place unique. That's not that exciting, but as I was going through, so for example, it talks about different elements of architecture. So for example, balance. This building is balanced, but if you want to make the building more exciting, you would make the view of it, not the actual structure, but make it imbalanced to make it more exciting. Okay, so it talks about these things like rhythm, and then it gives you ideas. So for example, on one of the pages in here, so this is, so Iggy comes from Blue River Creek, and you're gonna make his town in Blue River Creek. You're gonna use green for parks, and you're going to use, just different buildings you're gonna build or design. Now the only thing is because my son started using this, is that sometimes when you first draw, you don't like the first version. So you can erase it, but it'd just be nice if there was like a lot more paperwork. So what we're going to do is, I think, use a different pad and then glue it in here. So my son is very into architecture, all about lines. See, so it's an entire book full of, now there is the Michigan Architecture Society, and I have a video on it, actually, the Michigan Architecture Society. So maybe I'll try and find that video, put at the end. But it's a free architecture curriculum from kindergarten all the way up to, I want to say grade 8. So yeah, it's got different things down here. Okay, so that was the product of the day. Now back to the book. So this is the days of the week, right? Obviously, in case you didn't know. And then the months of the year. Now, a lot of these I just found on Canva. This I Googled. It's a problem-solving wheel. These I just Googled. So, well, sometimes I Google them and then like make my own in Canva, but I'm not super talented. Like, it's not like, so you don't have to be super talented is what I'm saying. These are from, oh my gosh, I forget what it's called. But they're, what are they called? They're manners. They're about manners. So there's a bunch in here. So I'm just going to pick them. Oh, what is it called? If I remember the curriculum, I would definitely write it down. So it makes me feel safe to hold blank's hand. And then it's got a little poem. So I stay calm even when I'm upset, and then, so I'll just pick like 1 or 2 to go over that week. So I feel my face get hot as my anger grows a lot. I did not get my way. I did not get a say, but this is all okay. Even when I'm mad or my heart is feeling sad, I can use my words to share. My mom will always care. Okay, so I can do hard things. I am gentle with small things. I help protect God's world. Gentle and classical. This is the gentle and classical. It's their manners card. So I bought it when it was on sale for like $6. So, I mean, I found definitely worth it. Sometimes I print off stuff from The Good and the Beautiful just because it's free. Their language arts is free. I print off stuff. We have a very good reading program, very good language arts program that I like. It's very eclectic. I mean, I love it. But just every once in a while I print off some words just to go through and have them say it. And when they do, I take it out. That's what this binder's for, is we do it. If you do it once a week or however often, I mean, it takes like 10 minutes. I used to have them, now they're in these pages because I used to have them do it with the erasable markers, but not anymore. But they're still in these pages because it keeps them, in case they want to touch them, they were ripping out like all the, if I just have them like this, they'll rip out. Like this isn't a big deal if it rips out because we're not going to use it that long. But I just want to see, like, refresh if they know this. So you keep it in a year, and then I'm going to show you what else you do. These are just basic things, some shapes, again, from Canva. And this, that says K5 Learning, so free fraction sheets. This I got off Canva. I highlighted different Roman numerals, because we do like Roman numerals here. This is skip counting, right? Skip counting, but we're starting it just reinforces the times tables multiplication, which they do understand that concept. It's not hard. Just have your kids watch a video on it. It's not hard. And we're not there yet. Like math-wise, we're not studying that yet. But however, they do understand the concept. So counting by fives, so it does two things. Counting by fives plus it reinforces the multiplications. That's why I have that in there. This is based off of, I have like every curriculum there is, Christian and secular. I have pretty much everyone. This was from My Father's World. We read a chapter on Benjamin Franklin, and it was very good. And I just printed off what I want them to remember about Benjamin Franklin, which I thought was really interesting, about the battery and positive, negative, and conductor and discharge. So these are like the electrical vocabulary Ben Franklin came up with. So obviously it's not that beautiful. I printed it. I made this in Canva, which I'm sure you can tell from looking at it. This is the original 13 colonies, which who knows where I got that from. Now I want to show you something. Okay, so this is just a map of the United States that currently we are not using. But again, it's covered in here in case we need to make some notes on it. But what I want to show you is, okay, so I took this book here. This is what we're studying astronomy in. So we're studying astronomy right now, and we're almost done. It didn't take us long because I just sit through lunch and I read it, right? So we don't do an activity book. So I would just read through the galaxy, and then I would see, oh, we're on the... there's different arms in our galaxy, and so it tells us what arm we're on. And and very interesting, and that Andromeda is the biggest galaxy in our quote-unquote local group, right? So I go through and I read this, and then I make a note at the bottom by pinching a page, or I look at the summary. At the end of every chapter there's a summary, and I decide what I want our kids to memorize, and then I go over here, and this is what I made. So this, again, I just typed in space thing in Canva, and up pops this. And then I fill it in about the local group, and the largest galaxy in the local group is Andromeda. The Milky Way is the second largest, and the Triangulum is the third. Okay, so are you seeing? So there's two different types of planets I also learned from here, Jovian and terrestrial. Terrestrial are Earth-like, made of rocks and minerals. These are things I want them to remember. I do it for every curriculum we go through. This is how my kids learn so much without doing a lot of wasted activities. There's no, like, we're not filling in an activity book here or anything like that. I also did the Northern Hemisphere, North Star, also known as Polaris. It does not move and can be found in the Little Dipper. There's the Big Dipper, there's the Little Dipper. These I just printed off from earthsky.org. I just Googled, like, Northern Star, because in here we were studying the Northern Hemisphere constellations and the Southern Hemisphere constellations, which sometimes overlap, I have noticed. There's the Great Bear, which, if you can see, it looks upside down in the sky, but whatever. And this is a map. I printed off a map just because I thought it was interesting. It is a map. And can we find Ursa Major and Ursa Minor? Ursa Minor is actually the Little Dipper, which I did not know until I was looking at that. Okay, so so I would keep them doing that. Now, this is from another book we read, okay? This was another book that we got from the library. What makes a fish? A backbone plus gills makes a fish. So is a sea jelly a fish? No. Is a sea star a fish? No. Is a shark a fish? Yes. It is the biggest fish in the ocean. A shark is a fish because it has gills and it has a backbone. How did the ocean get its salt, and how did the Great Lakes form? A glacier came on land and melted. Once we know this, I take it out. I take it out and I stack it on a pile like I did their grade 1 things. These are the grade 1s I'm going to show you. This is marsupials. We read another science test because I went through about 6 sciences this year. This is about marsupials. So again, we look through it. So it takes like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to look through this stuff. And by the end, this classification of animals I don't care for. This is the one I got off Canva. I just put in classification of animals. I don't like it. I want to do another one. But anyway, so these are what I want them to memorize. And then I remove it once they do memorize it, I remove it. And I replace it with other things. And I put it back into like their, this pile here, kind of as a remember. So this is another problem-solving wheel. It's a different type. So there's different types of problem-solving wheel, but I was thinking about just talking about one of those things every time. This is an old one because, again, this was, let me turn it upside down. This was I wanted them to make sure they knew their left and right. I also had a menu, a meal planning setting, a table setting too as well. So this is what I wanted them to memorize before, read through. This is the Oh Say Can You See? I actually forget what it's called. I am a dual citizen. And I forget what this is called. I apologize. I can't remember off the top of my head what is it the Star Spangled Banner? I think this is Star Spangled Banner. This was, now sometimes I put things in books, like this was from Rebecca, the emergent layer. Like this was based on the information I got. And then I was like, why do they need to memorize that there's an emergent layer, a canopy layer, an understory layer? They don't, so I just removed it. This was American Sign Language that we were working on, and we have to do it again because we're not real successful at it. That was like one of those things at the beginning of the year. I was like, let's focus on that. This is again from Gentle and Classical. Float sim and jet sim are trash from ships. A tide pool is a shallow pool of seawater. Again, I didn't think that's super necessary. Like we have talked about it before, so they kind of know it. But I just didn't think it was necessary for their well-being that we memorize that stuff. If they had an interest in it, then sure. Yeah, so this is, again, the Gentle and Classical. So this was dig into the dictionary. I have different dictionaries that I'm using right now, different word a day. But this was a good one for $1 that I got. And it goes with this, so. Yeah, so again, this is still part of that, a part of those words, because it has like 10 words or something, and then that you focus on, you could do it at a month. And I used to have 2 books, one for each of them, and now this time I'm like, it's easier if we just have one. And I just read through it at lunch. Yeah, so that's why there's copies of stuff, but there might be some more interesting things. Okay, this again is from their grade 2 science, I think, with Rebecca. Sunlight equals water, and carbon dioxide comes from plants. So the main point is, what do plants give us? Because it's like a cycle, right? Plants give us oxygen, and what do animals and humans give plants? Carbon dioxide. So this was like the plant recipe, but they memorized it. So I just took it out because they don't need to know that. Again, invertebrates, I'm not thrilled with those ones. This was based off generation science, mitosis, 1 cell becoming 2 cells. I just took this out, not because they don't, whether they get it or not, it doesn't matter. I took it out because I'm going to save the generations curriculum. It's level 3. I think it's God Made Me. And I'm going to save it just till they're a little older. Yeah, just till they're a little older. Just because... just another year, just because I want them to be able to really learn about the body. It's very in-depth. Layers of the atmosphere, which, again, I was like, they don't need to know that. We did talk about Day of Creation, so I'm going to keep that because I might put that back in. It's just we have other things we're working on right now. These are what I had is questions, and every time I answered a question with them, I just wanted to get to know them. And so in each of the books, because I would go through one book with one child and then another book with another child, and as I asked them questions, but I noticed that it kind of irritated one child. Yeah, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take that out for now. But it was a good idea on my part. Questions I can ask a child. So I just came up with that, found some questions online. Bada bing, bada boom. I have way too many pages of questions in which I thought I was going to ask them. Left and right again. But yeah, I had a table setting in here. It was really nice. Now this is based on my son's interest, the color mixing guide. He was really interested in that. So I just bought from Etsy, from Apple and Pelican, because I tried to find one online. I could not. So eventually I just had to buy one. But yeah. Matching numbers we did through one of those plastic sheets, of course. Or we just did it orally. We do a lot of things orally. This was a calendar I had for 2024. I got to get another calendar, I think, for them. This was, we used to start every day with how do you feel, just trying to get them to talk about emotions because that's very important. To become emotionally aware. A lot of addicts are scared to admit their emotions, like deal with their emotions. Emotions are very scary for people. So if you ask kids a lot, hey, what are you feeling? It helps them identify it and see that it's not so scary instead of trying to ignore it like we tend to do a lot in our lives. A lot of times we tend to ignore emotions, right? Because they make us feel not good sometimes. This was not a great thing. This was counting by 12. And so 12 times 1, 12 times 2. So it just, because I asked him what he wanted to work on. He wanted to work on his 12 times tables. This was from Twinkle. I'm sure you know this was the Titanic. We did, my son used to be obsessed with the Titanic. So there's a lot of cool books. The Titanic Cat is a great book. It's a picture book. Okay, now this was, we were studying the history of ancient China. It is an amazing book. It's an amazing book I've talked about before. And so we started reading through it and I decided again, let me just wait till they're a bit older. And so this was just after we went through like each chapter, I printed off Pengu, how everything started in Chinese mythology and stuff like that. I just printed off some stuff on the internet about China and stuff, right? Just so that we could reference it and it would stay in our mind, the history of ancient China. It's pretty interesting so far. I mean, the book's great. It's more of a read aloud. So this was, we did like some graphs. And again, I had them do it either orally or some of them we filled out. I had a lot more of this stuff. But yeah, and this was fractions. Is you can draw the fraction if you wanted. I had them cut out. And this was from Fun Activities by Sura on Etsy when I used to spend way too much money on Etsy. Yeah, and have them put it together. Okay. So there you go. I hope you found that interesting and I hope you tune in again.